I carried those skills, those training methods into MMA because whenever I'm doing anything, I never want to do it like halfway. I don't have a plan B and C. Plan B and C make plan A work.
Hey, welcome to another show of Thanalysis podcast. You guys have been amazing. I see the reviews on Apple Podcasts. I see the reviews on Spotify. You guys are incredible, and thank you so much for people who are listening. Thank you so much for people who are watching. Again today we have a special guest that I've been wanting to get him here for a while because his story is incredible. You know, even though in his sport he looks like a machine, he's just human, and he's here like to really, really inspire us with his story. But you know, I got to give him the intro, right? So, wearing number 22 from Edo State, Nigeria, Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare, Usman. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Man, so the Nigerian Nightmare. I was reading and seeing how you got that nickname, and they said it was Christian.
See that's the thing about that nickname is, you know, it's a nickname that I've heard ever since I was a kid. And it's a nickname that exemplifies excellence in sports, in athletics, in athletics at the highest. So whichever athlete is excelling at the highest of Nigerian descent, that's a nickname you take on. You know, I'm not the first Nigerian Nightmare. You know, Christian Okoye, who was an American football player, played for Kansas City Chiefs, is not the first Nigerian Nightmare. Boxing, WBC Heavyweight Champion of the World, Samuel Peters, was a Nigerian Nightmare. There's been a few football players, soccer players, that Nigerian Nightmares. And so that name is just a name that exemplifies, you know, excellence in sports. You know, so if you're really a nightmare in your sport, in your respective field, and you're of Nigerian descent, that's a nickname you, with pride, you want to take on. So I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
If you guys hadn't had the journey you had,
Yes.
Giannis would be the Nigerian Nightmare right now. I guarantee you that's, and you're hearing it right now. You know, I know Greek freak, Greece trying to take him, but Giannis is the Nigerian Nightmare in basketball.
I love it. I say this all the time. We come from like two cultures that are amazing. Have you ever learned, you know, and I know you know the Nigerian culture, of course, but have you ever learned about the Greek culture as well? Like, we come from two cultures that they have so much history, and at the same time, they're so hardworking. And if you look at what they do all around the world, spread it all around the world, like, it's crazy. Like, I go to every gym, bro, and I see Nigerian flags and Greek flags. I get goosebumps just thinking about this. But, you know, about you, man, okay, so, like, how did you start? How did you?
It's just natural progression. I think, you know, just like most families, like your family, like my family, you immigrate for opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing that a lot of people don't really think about. But I mean, how blessed are we, and how thankful are we that your mother and father were courageous enough to say that this is not where we're gonna let our legacy live. We're gonna immigrate. We're gonna go somewhere else to give our kids an opportunity for them to be higher selves.
Yeah.
And I mean, it doesn't matter if, you know, your father was a drill sergeant. It doesn't matter if your mother didn't hug you so many times. Look at what they did. They handled their responsibility. They were able to get out and give you an opportunity for you to do the things now that we see all the time. Everyone's saying it, for you to give your kids an opportunity and hug them and love them a certain type of way. So I am eternally grateful to my parents, and as I'm sure you and your brothers are, to give us that opportunity. You know, my family immigrated to the U.S. And of course, and you know, just like you guys, when you immigrate somewhere else, you're kids. You want to do what kids are doing. You want to hang out with the kids. You want to play. Kids are always going to want to play with kids. And you don't see race, you don't see color, you don't see any of that. Yeah. You just want to participate. And like you guys picked up the basketball. You know, for me, I was a football player. I was in Texas.
Okay.
It's football and basketball. So I played football in 7th grade, middle school. I was okay, you know, B team all-star. Okay. You know, I was able to run around guys, you know. And then 8th grade, they grew a little bit more. I didn't grow that much. So I wasn't such a B team all-star anymore. I was like, okay, still decent B team.
Yes.
And then 9th grade, high school. Now, if you know anything about Texas football, these dudes look like college football players. You know? Big kids. And I didn't grow. So freshman year, I was 5'2", 103 pounds.
It's crazy.
Yeah, 9th grade, 5'2", 103. And trying to play football with guys that are 6'3", 6'4", 220. And, you know, I was still kind of trying to get through the season. You know, I wasn't playing much, obviously. And we had such an amazing class of talent that year that I wasn't going to see that much playing time, especially my position, because I was the running back. And the assistant football coach was also the assistant wrestling coach. I never heard of wrestling before except WWE.
Oh, yeah.
So because I thought that was wrestling. And so he kept saying, hey, why don't you come in and try wrestling? This is, you know, slim, skinnier, you know, white dude. And I'm from North Carolina, you know. And I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. I don't want to get hit with chairs. I'm good. And he's like, nah, come on in, try it. Come on in. I was like, nah, I'm okay. And then one day, I went by the wrestling room and I peeked my head in there. And it was just like 60 dudes in shorts, T-shirts, blue, white T-shirts and wrestling shoes and on the mats. And there was a smell that you got. It was a smell like sweat. You know, I call that the stench of hard work now, but it was just like that sweat, and it was hot in there, and they were just slamming each other repeatedly. They would get back up, slam each other, get back up, just taking turns. I was like, hey, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna do that. So I went back to football, and towards the end of the season, I think we had maybe 3 games left. They gave me like this play. It was a running play, so like a 43 killer. That's what the play was called. I still remember the play. That's crazy. And it was like a cutback. They gave me the ball, cut back, boom, through the middle, it's gone. 25, 30 yards. It's like, whew, I can do that? I'm doing that? So they called another play. It was another running play. But this time it was on the opposite side. But in my head, I'm like, nah, these guys can't stop this play. You know, I just cut counter and I went through and I just 30 yards. You know, I'm going to do it again. Boom. Instead of running the play the way I was supposed to, I went back the same way, running up the middle. I'm thinking I'm gone. I get hit so hard by the linebacker. I'm on my back. I'm screaming out every cuss word I knew at that time. And I thought I broke my back. And while I was laying there, I was just like, yeah, this is not it for me. I don't know about football. And after that moment, I was like, I got to give something else a try, because my head, and that's the thing, when you're in those years, like high school years, that's the thing with kids. And now as a parent, I'm starting to understand more and more is kids feel like not only feel, that's the most important thing in their life. To where as parents, we're dealing with bills and how we're going to provide for our families and all. But for them, for a kid, I'm not growing. I'm 5'2", I'm 100 pounds. All these guys are 6'3", 220. I'm not gonna grow. So I thought I gave up on football. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna grow. So I need to try something else. And one day I went into the wrestling room and the rest was history.
So, okay, you started, you're like 5'2", like 103. How was your first wrestling days? How like?
See, that was the thing with wrestling is you could compete in wrestling at that size because there's different weight classes.
Okay.
And so wrestling was a good fit, but I didn't really, because I never wrestled before. I never even seen wrestling. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll try it. So, and it was like my coaches was waiting for the day for me to come in there. Because as soon as I came in, I just was trying to flex. I was trying to just go in there and say, yeah, I came in, y'all wasn't ready for me, so I left. Because, I thought I was cool, a football player, My brother was a senior soccer player at the schools. I think he was like captain of the soccer team. My cousin at the time was a football player as well. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go in, flex a little bit, tell them I showed up, and then leave. As soon as I walked in, they had shorts and t-shirt ready for me. Like, here you go. I was like, wait. I wasn't ready for all that. But they had it ready, gave it to me. I was like, all right, I'm gonna show y'all. And then they put us in a group. And I was in a group with the girls, like a group of 4. I think it was like on a Monday. And the name they had for the Monday practices was Miserable Mondays because they conditioned a lot. And for football players, you're not used to that. That wrestling condition is different. So I go in, they put us in a group with and I had a girl in the group. And we're wrestling. I don't know what I'm doing. We're just going. She's taking me down. She's slamming me. She put me in a half Nelson. And for the first time, I had this feeling of, I know most people in the world don't ever think about this, but have you ever thought about being pinned to your back and not being able to get off? It's one of the most helpless feelings
it's crazy
you would ever experience. Imagine being on your back, someone's on top of you, and you can't get up. I was just like, it blew my mind. Because you never think of that. You're like, oh, I fall down, I just get up. No, you're on your back, they have you pinned down, you cannot get up. And I just remember feeling so helpless. I was walking home that day after school and I was just like, I'm gonna get this girl back tomorrow. I'm gonna get her back. But this goes to show you how my mind was wired.
Yeah.
Most football players didn't come back the next day. They never showed up. But as I was walking home, that was never a thought, like, I'm not gonna show up. The thought was, I'm gonna get her back tomorrow. And I came back and she continued to assault me. You know, she beat on me for months until one day we wrestling, we're doing something, and I hit a move that I learned. It was a headlock. And I hit the move, boom. And I landed the move. And I just remember thinking at that point, I was like, oh shit, I learned something. I learned a move. And I just remember the feeling I had walking home that day. I was so happy. I was like, okay, I'm gonna come back tomorrow. I'm gonna keep coming. And I just kept coming. And, you know, I just wanted to continue to improve. And it got me here.
Oh my God. And then, so that was your first school? Which school did you go to?
My high school was James Bowie High School in Arlington, Texas.
And then you went to college?
From then, yeah, I went to, I got a scholarship to a small school in Iowa. It was a Quaker school, like a private university in Iowa called William Penn University.
William Penn, yes.
Yeah, never heard of them before, but it was in Oskaloosa, Iowa. Never heard of that before, and I went.
So that they had like a wrestling team?
Yeah, they had a wrestling team, a pretty talented wrestling team, I must say. I mean, it was just one of those schools to where they were able to get all these talented individuals that didn't necessarily have the grades and the scores to go to this major universities, because they were all division. A majority of them were Division I caliber athletes, but they just didn't have the test scores to go. And that was the thing with me, is that, you know, I had the grades in class, but I was a horrible test taker. It was just something about sitting there for 4 hours taking the SAT test that after about an hour, I started just circling C's. And so I didn't have the test score. So I think the NCAA classification is you are a non-qualifier, or maybe it's two things, that you can be ineligible but qualified, or ineligible or non-qualifier, something like that. One or the other. So you could have the grades, but you just don't have the test scores, like the ACT, SAT score. Or you can have the test scores, but you just don't have the grades. So either way, you're gonna have to prove yourself to NCAA clearinghouse that you can succeed at an NCAA institution. So basically, you could go to a JUCO, and for like a year or 2 years. No, when you go to JUCO, I think the rules were you had to graduate with that associate's degree.
Yes.
But if you go to another 4-year institution, you just had to go there for a year and prove that you can succeed in a 4-year institution.
At least they have that in place as well, because, you know, it's not just you. There's a lot of kids out there who want to be the wrestlers, you know, they want to compete, and they know that it's hard for them, like academically, you know?
Exactly. And so at the time, you know, you hate it as a kid, you hate it. but you don't understand. But it's one of those things that I think is necessary.
Yes.
In place. So yeah, I went, and of course, I mean, I know I was a good student, athlete, and acing all my classes, and then but it was just something about being in a small town Iowa that was different. But now as an adult, I cherish my time there because it was a learning experience. It taught me so much. But while I was going through it, I was just I couldn't believe what I was living through at that time.
Why?
Yeah, you go from
I want you to feel comfortable. I don't want
you go from this big city of living in Arlington, Dallas, Texas, DFW, to where you see everything, all cultures, all races, everything. You're just in this melting pot, and it's okay. And then you go to small town Iowa.
Yes.
To where you may be the only brother they see for a while, they've seen all year. And being there, really, I'd walk into a restaurant, everyone would turn around. Like, oh, it's one of those guys. And it was the first time I ever felt something like that. And I always see it in movies and TV shows, but to actually feel it was different. Because I come from Arlington, where we're everywhere, and all cultures, Asians. I went to school with everybody, and so two different instances that really stuck with me. One was the story. Me and my roommate, who's I think his name is James Rudder from Las Vegas, a little guy from Las Vegas. He's a wrestler too, and we went to Walmart. First couple of weeks of school, we want to get all the supplies, so you go to Walmart, and we go to Walmart. And we're in one of the aisles, like the shoe aisles. And I'm looking for like a shoe cleaner. And it was a kid and his mom sitting there. The kid might have been maybe like 6, maybe 5, 6. And he's trying on shoes. She's putting shoes on him. And obviously Caucasian. And so I'm looking at I'm at the end of the aisle. I'm looking at the cleaners. And the kid looks up at me, and and I love kids, and I just kind of wave, make a face wave like you do with kids. And he looks up at me and goes, "Mommy, look, a black person." Just like that. And the mom, the look she had on her face, she like grabs him, turns around, like just walks off, and I'm just like,
but I mean, he was just
a kid,
bro.
He didn't know he's a kid,
yes.
And this is based on what he's been growing around. What you're and so I don't fault that kid at all, but it was just one of those instances where it's based on what you're teaching your children. Like you're not educating them in a certain way.
Yes.
And so that was nothing. But I don't want to interrupt you, but this is like while you're in like college now. You're in college. Okay. I'm in college. I'm 18 at this point.
Okay, you're 18.
And the one that really did it, because I spent 2 years there at William Penn. And I wanted to leave after the first year because I started to feel all these things. But I guess it just wasn't in God's plans. The coach didn't release me to leave, so I had to come back to compete for that institution, or I would be ineligible by going to a different school, and they wouldn't pay my tuition, something like that. So I had to come back. So I come back, and the next year I started dating this girl. She was from the town. She's a beautiful girl, and she was a basketball player.
Okay.
Hooper.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think don't quote me on this, but I think at the time she held the high school record for most 3-pointers. And she could shoot. She was a shooter. I mean, she blonde, boom, bombing them. And it was just something about her and her athleticism and just her competitiveness. I had met her at the YMCA, and we hit it off. I tried to get a number. She wouldn't give it to me. Left. So I came back to the YMCA every I think it was like Tuesday for like 4 weeks straight just to meet her. And I couldn't find her. I didn't see her. And then the last time I was there, I was leaving. And then she's like pulled up. And I'm like, talked to her, rat to her. I've been, and eventually gave me a number. We started talking and we started dating. We dated for a while, and then she went to college at a different college. And met her family, met her parents, and they super, super nice to me. They would invite me over, like, hey, invite your friend, Marty, because that's what they called me at the time. You know,
Marty, why?
Around wrestling, Marty was the nickname. Around wrestling, it started in high school. I'll touch on that real quick before we jump back. But it started in high school. My high school coach, my full name is Kamaru Dean.
Kamaru Dean.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And my high school coach, David Mudgett, John Mance, he's reading it. He was like a big Marine. He's like, Kamaru, Marty, and I can't say this shit. And he's a big Marine. I'm just, like, here, sir, that's me. He's like, I'm just going to call you Marty. I was like, yes, sir. That's good. So he starts calling me Marty. But, this is the thing with names and nicknames is if you're not good at what you're doing, you're just a regular average Joe. No one remembers them. No one cares. No one cares about them. And so the more successful I got in wrestling,
yes,
the more people started to hear him call me that. So now my whole team called me Marty. So now we go to wrestling tournaments and I'm beating dudes up and everyone call me Marty now. So it kind of started to grow and grow and grow. Now when I was getting ready to leave high school,
yes,
and college coaches would call him and they would say, hey, do you have this kid? And what about this kid? And he was like, oh, Marty? So he starts calling me that to the college coaches. Now they start calling me that. So he bleeds over to college. And then now I'm in college doing my thing. And of course, everyone's calling me Marty.
Marty.
People just completely negate the fact that my name has nothing to do with that. My name is not, but I go along with it because it's like a nickname. Every boy wants, you want to just be part of the team, part of the squad. Exactly. So I just let it ride. And then now I got to college and I was starting to really whoop dudes. And they kept calling me that. I'm just like, all right, fuck it. That's the name. That's the name now. So it was a nickname. So now I'm in college in Iowa. And so the girl I was dating, her parents would say, hey, you want to invite your friend Marty to come have dinner with us? And I would go over, meet her parents, eat. I think they were like involved in the church and things like that. And first Caucasian woman I ever dated. This was like my first like real like relationship. Okay. I was a kid, before, but this is like my first like relationship out of my parents' house. And so I liked her. We really, liked each other. Plus now we connect on a different level. We hoop together, and so the moment her family found out that like we were like, because she would tell me that she loved me. And I'd tell her the same because now we've been dating for over a year. And I'm like, yeah, I really feel deeply for this girl. The moment they find out, like we were like really into each
dating.
other.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, they were like, nah. They invited me over, sat me down, had her older sister there, sat us down in the living room, mom and dad. And it was like an intervention style. And they were like, yeah, we like you. You're a very nice, respectful guy. But we just don't think that you guys should be together because you're...
No, they didn't say that. You're lying. No, they didn't say that.
Yeah.
What year was this?
This was in 2006. 2006.
I mean, it's the 2000s, bro. Like
2006, bro. That's not that long ago.
Yeah,
but it's
2000. It's 20 something, almost 20 something.
I know that's crazy.
It's crazy to say over 20 something.
Old as hell.
but yeah,
they sat me down and intervention style. With the way they disguised it, they were like, our parents wouldn't be on board with you guys' relationship, wouldn't condone the relationship, which
damn, that's unfortunate.
At the time. Imagine I'm 18. Imagine an 18-year-old man, like young man, hearing this, and I feel like really care about this girl. I'm away from my parents. They've invited me over. I'm starting to be close with them. I love her young brother, and I'm playing with him all the time. And they tell you that. Like I cried there in the living room. I cried. And I'm not ashamed to say this. Like I physically like was crying. Like,
I believe you, bro.
Wait, you just gonna? I care about this woman, and you're just gonna tell me like I can't see her just because I'm black? And it hurt me so bad to where I cried to where even the dad went on the walk with me, took me on the walk, and tried to explain to me more like, hey, you just can't happen. And these were guys of the church, like they were in the church in that town. And it hurt us, me and her, big time. And so we kind of, after that, they wanted us to stop seeing each other, which we tried, but you can't tell kids that.
At the same time, I know how you are as a person. You're very respectful.
Yeah.
As well, so you was probably.
I'm trying to be respectful. I'm trying to be out, but she's like, nah, screw that. They can't tell us what to do. That's the attitude that, because, we're 18, 19, now we could be rebellious. And we tried to like see each other behind their back for like, a few months after, but it was just like, every time they would find out, it would be a situation.
Yeah, you don't want to cause no problems too.
Yeah.
Like, you're not that person. So.
And they was threatening me now. Like real threats. Like, hey, we'll get the police involved. We'll say you did this, you did that. Like, and I was just like, last straw. And at this time, I was already working on a transfer to the University of Nebraska anyways. I was like, I need to get out of here. And so it just so happens that the last time a situation happens to be right when my transfer went through. I just packed up my car. And the school packed up my car, transfer left, never looked back.
Man.
Yeah.
Man, that's
crazy journey. It's a crazy journey. Like I've seen and just been through so many different things that for me helped shape who I am. And I'm grateful for each and every one of them, the good or the bad.
You know what it is too? Like like every podcast that I have like keeps going and I see these stories and it reminds me how much like human we are. And you took me through so many emotions. I can only imagine like how you was feeling at the time,
Bro, 18-year-old young boy, I'm sitting on the couch. Have you seen the show Intervention? It's when all the family, like if someone's doing drugs and then it's affected all the family members, they all bring you into a house, they trick you to come over and then they sit down and tell you like, hey, this is why you need to stop drugs because it's hurting them in this way.
So the whole family was there, basically.
So it was, mom, dad, sister, like all there. And I was just like, sat there and they're telling me this. Yo, crazy.
Yeah.
But I went through it and I'm glad I experienced it. As much as I didn't want to, I'm glad I experienced it because look where I am now.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that, everybody's had, and from both sides as well, not only, being a black male or Caucasian, or be like, you've experienced it from every side of it. But the thing is like, that it doesn't affect who you are as a person. You don't create any animosity towards anybody because you're like, it's life, and I just move forward. You could be mostly, other people, you could date people from the same race and still they don't like you. They still don't want you to be.
Facts. And it almost lit a fire in me too.
Yeah.
It's kind of like because when I went to that school, like I was as an athlete, I had a chip on my shoulder as an athlete.
Yes.
Like that's what I was there for. I was a student athlete, but and then the relationship came with that. But which was making my time there a little bit more enjoyable. But I had a chip on my shoulder as an athlete. Like I walked in and this is on that wrestling team. I walked in and I was like, yo, I'm gonna be the best here at the school. And they had like starters, All-American, multiple time All-American on the team. I was like, I'm gonna win a national title. And I remember, it's a funny story. I remember it was an exercise that the coach would make us do at the beginning of the season.
Yes.
And it's write down our goals for the year. And everyone's reading off their goal. And some guys are like, yeah, I want to win 15 matches this year. And then some guys are like, yeah, I want to make varsity. Some guys are like, yeah, I want to make it to nationals. And, you have the All-Americans on the team. Yeah, I want to be a 4-time All-American. Some are, and then they come to me and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be national champion. And I remember the look I got from some of the guys on the team. Like, who is this? I think he is. Yeah, this young dude coming in here talking about he's going to be a national champion. Who is it? So they just gave me that look. But I was like, they don't know where I'm at mentally, physically, what I'm going to bring. They don't know. And going through that year, there was 2 separate practices, one for the freshmen in the red shirt, and then one for like the varsity.
Yes.
And I was one of, I think maybe 2 guys that were out of that class of like, we had maybe 26 in that other practice. I was like one of the 2 that were invited to the varsity practice. And sooner or later, I started giving it to the varsity guys. I mean, I'm going ham on them. Like, hey, I come here to win, and I'm going to win. And so that relationship going the way it did kind of boosted me a little bit, gave me an extra like boost in my back. Like, you know, I'm gonna show them, you know, because a piece of me felt like the fact that, you know, yeah, of course the race situation was a big one, but it was, you know, it was almost like they were doubting who I set out to be as a man. You know, like I'm here to be successful in whatever I'm doing. And they were like, a piece of them was like, yeah, you might not amount to anything, so you're not good enough to date our daughter. And I was like, who, me? Okay. And so when I transferred, I just carried that chip on my shoulder everywhere. And just up.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. This Thanasis Antetokounmpo, let you guys know you can get all your official Antetokounbros gear at Antetokounbros.shop. Follow our social media pages at Antetokounbros to stay updated with new lines and drops. And show us you're wearing the gear by using the hashtag We're All Bros. At Antetokounbros.shop, we're all bros. Back to Thanalysis. Man. So let's fast forward a little bit. So you go to Nebraska, you win like,
I hit my stride.
Go crazy.
Yeah.
I think you might have won like 30, you know, like
my senior year, I was 44-1.
44, you won 30, you won 30 matches in a row.
44. I really started putting it together. I think it was a combination of everything.
Yes.
You got to be at the right institution. That's the thing too with universities here and colleges, and especially even for basketball players, is you have to be in the right institution that fits, that can really help develop a kid. Because you might have some of these high school superstars. I mean, obviously now I think in basketball you can go straight from the high school to the NBA, right?
Every 5 years it was kind of changing, but I think from high school probably you can go straight to the league, to the NBA.
Yeah, so it was, you know, if you do go to college is a great tool. Yes. I highly recommend it. Obviously, as an athlete, with the whole how NCAA makes money off of us athletes, I don't really like that aspect. But for development, it's amazing, you know, because I grew so much in those couple of years that really prepared me for life after. And so I got the right fit. Once I went to Nebraska, I got the right fit. Amazing team, amazing coaches, and it was just centered around good things. I mean, the team was very, very high in their faith, you know, so they got me and with that to where it was a very, very team that we all shared a common goal. Of course, we want to be the best athletes, but of course they want to be best men as well. And so the coach was very high in that, in discipline, and making sure that everyone was on the same page in their faith, in how they lived life. And being in that environment just skyrocketed me. You know, like I was there and I wanted to go harder every day. I wanted to go harder. And I did. Once I started hitting that stride, it's something about me. You give me a little bit of success, that's it.
That's what
Once I get a little bit, I want more.
That's what usually happens.
Yes.
You know, you make me believe I can do it.
Absolutely.
And looking back now.
Absolutely. And that was, you know, that was the beginning of, and being there was the beginning of everything. You know, being there was the first time I really saw MMA, the sport, because I had a teammate that would do it during the summers. And so it was the first time I really kind of saw it, really kind of was around it. And, you know, I never thought I would do it, but somehow got me into the sport.
How did you go from never thought you would do it to like welterweight champion of the world, bro? And then going to like 9 and 10, like how many defenses, bro, just consecutively, like boom, one after another. Because if you think about it, to me, because I don't know how it works, but the way I see it, you get 2 matches a year, right? So we talking about two. We talking about like 4 or 5 years in a row, bro. We talking about like it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean I was always like, and it all started with in Nebraska, the habits of how I prepare for things. So I knew we had a national tournament coming towards the end of the year.
Yes.
You know, I'm gonna start now. My habits got to start now with how I'm doing things, how I train, how I prepare. And so it's always been that way. Like I know a lot of people would see us as athletes and at the top now, and like just like, oh man, you guys are just blessed, you're gifted, superstars. No, it didn't come that way. You know, I remember, you know, being 13 years old, 14, and deciding like, you know, I'm gonna go take an extra run today. I'm gonna do this extra. I'm gonna do that extra, and I'm gonna do this extra. And I've been doing it for years and years and years and years, all through. I'm in Nebraska, and for the last 2 years while I was there, I realized to myself, and I know this is a quote that we hear all the time, we've heard, but it's, I was training. At first, I was training the same hours as the team. We had training practice at 3:30 every day. And I would practice from 3:30 to about 5:30, the same as everyone else on the team. And then I would go to a tournament and I'd, you know, place third, fourth, like everybody else on the team.
Yes.
And so I didn't like that because I wanted to win every time. I want to win. But it's like, how can I expect to win when I do the same thing as everybody else on the team? I can't. You know, that's crazy. I'm expecting to just be the champion when I'm doing the same amount of work as everybody else. So I decided, no, I can't do that. I started doing different things. I go in, I think for the last 2 years, I wake up at 6 a.m. every day, go to our gym, our health and sports center. I'd train before I'd go to class while everyone's still kind of sleeping. I'd train before I go to class and then finish the day of classes and then go back and then go get to recovery and then get ready for practice at 3:30. So I started doing that. And by that mid that year, my junior season, it was like I could see the difference. I could feel the difference. When everybody was tired, I was like, yeah, give me one more. And it was like a drug for me, you know, that. And then I started pushing harder and harder. And then it just got me to the point where I carried those skills, those training methods into MMA. Because whenever I'm doing anything, I never want to do it like halfway. I don't have a plan B and C. Plan B and C is make plan A work. That's my plan B and C.
Man,
and so
your mentality, your mindset, your mentality, your habits are incredible, man.
That's just kind of how it was.
Yes.
And then I seen the sport being real. I was just like, no, I'm not doing that. That's crazy. These dudes punching each other, kicking each other, elbows and knees. That's dangerous. I'm not doing that. Because wrestling is still controlled. You know, it's still controlled combat. And I didn't feel like MMA was, so I was scared of it. And once I got out and started training for the Olympics, 2012 Olympics,
yes,
I started to kind of be around it a lot more. Started getting sucked into it, meeting some of like MMA superstars. And they would tell me, yo, you should try this. You should try this. You could do this. You could do this. And I'm still scared. I'm not gonna lie, I'm scared. I'm like, I can't do it. But they're like, come try it. And then I remember I sparred for the first time. And I was like, it's funny, the guy I sparred was already in the UFC. And I ended up fighting him years later, much later. But he was already like a vet in the UFC. And I sparred him, and he didn't beat me up. He didn't try to beat me up. I'm sure he could have, but he didn't try to beat me up. But I just remember sparring him, and I was just like, man, maybe I can't do this. And I gave up on wrestling, moved my stuff, went to Florida, started my career.
Which one was your first martial arts after wrestling and then?
I just started training everything. I started
right away, everything.
Kickboxing, yeah. Kickboxing was the next one because that was like, you have to learn how to stand up.
That's so crazy. You know why? Because that means you have like, it's a certain, like, it's not a lot of people in the world have this, but a certain skill. Like, you know how people just, like Giannis has this as well. Like Giannis might be playing, let's say, a video game.
Yeah.
And he's never played it. Never in his life. And all of a sudden he's playing like I don't know. Like he would come in and just like, I got you. And start playing like he's been playing it for years. Or like, example, like we'll be doing boxing or you'll be like, and all of a sudden he's doing it like it's nothing. Like it's regular. Like it's.
I think it's a mental. It's your will, the mental will of wanting to be excellent at something. So you might not show it, but you obsess over how to be good at it. Like my coach might show me footwork that maybe for him, maybe he would think because he's trained other people, he's like, oh, that's gonna be complicated for him. And he'll show it to me. And I might get it wrong the first few times. But in my head, I'm obsessing how to do this correctly. And maybe 9 times I'm doing it wrong. Then all of a sudden I got it. And I'm doing it. And he's like, oh, because we just obsess over wanting to be perfect in that aspect. But it's, I mean, I think it's a normal thing. A lot
sorry
of
to
people
interrupt
can't.
you. You just reminded me, yeah, like that's how my brother talks. So he's like, man, just, he's a philosopher. People haven't said this. He's like, gotta see him like family dinners. He'll blow your mind. You'll be like, man.
And he give you out jokes too.
No, I don't know where this that joke thing started, but he's funny. He's like, he's insane. But I don't know when he started. He just out of the blue. But keep going. So okay, what was the feeling of the first official match? You going into this?
Man, it's crazy. I felt naked because you literally are naked. You got these little 4-ounce gloves on, and you're in pretty much underwear. And I was in tights, and I just felt naked. Even though I've practiced for years, and I'm like, well, actually not years. I had my first fight in 2012, which is when I switched to MMA.
Right away.
Like 6-7 months, yeah. But I was just like, I had this confidence in myself, like, oh, I can do this because some of the greats like Rashad Evans told me I can do this. So I can do this. And I've sparred and trained. So I'm in there. And I was just like, I just remember the feeling of, I was like, holy, I am in a cage. I'm locked in here. The only way out is I either got to hurt him or he's going to hurt me. And I was just like, okay, let me, you got that false fake confidence. Let me show him, do this. And then, I hit him because I was faster. I was just a little bit more athletic, but the guy was more experienced. I hit him, boom. And I remember the feeling in my head, like, oh, I just hit somebody. Because I never hit someone with like malicious intent before, like trying to actually hurt someone. So I remember the first time I hit someone, his head hard. I was like, oh, I just hit a human head. It's crazy because all these thoughts are going through my mind in the fight. But I'm like trying to show that I'm tough. And I'm like, oh, I just hit this human head. And I'm still kind of moving. And I remember the first time I got hit. And it wasn't even like a good hit. It was like a jab, but it hit me boom, in my chin, and I just like stunned me a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, now we gotta take him down. Which I'm so blessed that I was a wrestler going into it because it's wrestling is such a special skill to have because now I control the position of where this fight is. I control the location of the fight. Like this guy's hitting me too much, I can take him down. If he knows how to try to take people down, that's what he wants to do, I can stop it. And so I control the location of this fight. And that was such an amazing tool for me because it saved me. It helped me develop. Because you start hitting me too many times, I don't like it. I'm taking you down right away. And I just remember that first fight, I had that feeling like, man, I'm locked inside a cage. I have to survive. And then two, I just felt naked in there. But once you start getting into it, it's just, I think it's the most powerful, adrenaline is the most powerful drug out there. Natural drug in your body is. I just got it. Once you get into that, you feel like you can do anything. I could have punched a brick wall or kicked a metal rod and not cared. Because that's just how once that adrenaline's flowing, that's how you feel. Oof. Yeah, and then once you get through that, it's like, then you're walking back after the fight, then everything starts feeling, you start feeling it. You're like, oh shit, why'd I kick him? Now I feel that. But it was just such a special feeling that I was like, I could do that again.
So how many fights have you done?
Now, someone just told me my record. I think I'm like 22 and 2, or 3, 22 and 3, something like that.
It's crazy.
That is crazy to me because it's just like yesterday, I was like 1-1. And I was like, oh shit. Okay, 2 fights.
You've done good, man. You've done good about yourself, man.
Thank you.
So, okay. So you do that. And obviously we share something else in common, like, like we have brothers in the same sport, and I heard like when you won your first contract with the UFC, I mean, first of all, let's say this, let's talk about this. Like when you won your first contract with the UFC, like how was that feeling for you?
It was crazy because I was at a certain point. Like when you get out of college, you gotta support yourself now.
Of course.
So as a young man, I'm always thought about what's next? How do I live? How do I survive? And that was the thing. I always wanted to make a living. Make a living doing something. And wrestling just didn't have that ability. That was another motivating factor too, to get out. Yes, if the biggest one was competition, to go into MMA. But of course, I could actually make some sort of a living with MMA as opposed to just wrestling. And so once I got into it, I realized, oh, well, I could eventually get paid. My first fight, I made $2,000. It was 1-1. So I made $2,000 my first fight. Actually, it was $1,000 I made. And I just remember, I got $1,000. And that lasted me like maybe 2 weeks. And so once I got into the Ultimate Fighter, it was like, okay, you win this, you get a contract with the UFC. And now you could be making, the contract would have been 10-10. I would be making $20,000 a fight if I win. So I was like, okay, man, I'm rich now. So it's just so crazy how life was working. I was about to have my daughter, and it was like, boom, you're about to have a child. You ain't really got no money. I had like $17 in my bank account at the time, and I've done the Ultimate Fighter, the show. Now I'm getting ready to fight the finale to maybe get a contract with the UFC. But the whole time I'm thinking, I got to make a living for myself. And then I have a child coming now. I got to make a living. I got to find a way to get into that life. And, I was able to go out there, risk it all, get the win. So got the contract. Now I could, and I was living with my friend at the time. And so, boom, got the contract. I think within like 4 weeks, got the contract, got the $20K, which lasted me like 2 weeks. Because I had bills piled up, but lasted me like 2 weeks. And of course, you got to account for taxes too.
Taxes, coaching.
Taxes, coaching, all of that. And I had bills already stacked up. And then my daughter's first birthday was coming. I had to spend money on that too. I had to get us an apartment, a place to live. We got a townhouse, like all of that, boom, 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 within like 2 months. Got it all done. Like life kind of come together. And then the whole time just still thinking, okay, how can I sustain this? How can I get into something or keep doing this to where I can sustain and help my family forever? Because I'm still Nigerian now. I still have a mom and dad, which, I have to be responsible for someday. So somehow I have to parlay this situation, this fighting thing, into a way where I could support my family, my mom, dad, brothers, and of course my daughter. And I started to I had to think outside the box, and eventually the fighting is a vehicle, it's just a tool to get me to a place where I have to get into the right businesses and have the business mind and to be able to stretch that little money that I was getting to eventually be able to take care of everybody forever.
I want to ask you about this as well. But wait, before I ask you about that, so your brother did the same thing and got a contract with
my brother. Yeah, my brother actually was he's a football player. He was big boy,
but he's heavyweight though.
Yeah,
he's like
big boy. I think he's like 6'2", 200 maybe 40 pounds, and athlete. And he was a football player. Got a football scholarship to University of Arizona. Played great there. Just had a run of bad luck, and didn't get the film time but he could have been in the league. For sure. He was just that talented. And just wasn't in the cards for him. So he eventually transitioned into MMA, but he's just now starting to find because he started late. He's just now starting to find his stride. And that's the thing with athletes like that. Like I think football players and athletes like you guys could make such an easier transition into MMA because you guys are natural athletes.
So let me ask you something. If you train me, for like, how long would I train for, like, to be able to, which I know they train
to
for
be
years.
able to win a fight or to be able to get into the UFC?
First of all, to be
that's different.
To be able not to get my ass kicked in the octagon.
In the octagon, that means UFC.
UFC, yeah.
I would say no. I'd say 3 years. If you were committed to it, yeah, 3 years. Well, you guys are, I think basketball players are some of the best athletes in the world. So I think you guys would pick it up a lot easier.
So what is the top 5 things that like?
Well, obviously wrestling, because that's the most important, because now you control the real estate when the fight takes place. If you can stop a takedown and you can get a takedown when you want, if you think about it, there's 3 positions that a fight could be. You guys could both be standing up punching each other. That's neutral. or you could be on your back, he's on top of you punching you, or you could be on top of him punching him. Look at any street fight. Those are the three positions you could end up. But 2/3 of a fight is on the ground. Now, if you control how to get someone to the ground or stop someone from getting you to the ground, you already won 2/3 of a fight.
So wrestling number one.
Yeah, wrestling's number one. Of course, learning kicking and punching. Like you got to be able to kickboxing.
Yes, gotcha.
You got to be able to strike. So once you get that down, boom, then you start. You got to be able to learn how to submit somebody. Jiu-jitsu. You have to be able to learn how to hold someone, choke someone. You get into a compromising position, you have to be able to know how to get out. So I will put that there as well. And, the rest I think is fine tuning, like boxing. These are special skills, special disciplines. You're learning how to slip and punch and land and timing. All these are things that complement those basic wrestling, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. Once you get those down, you straight. I mean, you could be in this. The thing is, once you learn them, you have the confidence to where you don't even want to be in a fight because
exactly
it is what it is.
Exactly.
Like I'm not. Of course, you still get the anxiety of a fight, but you're more calm in those situations because I dodge a fight. I can dodge a punch, take someone down, choke them if I need to.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you one last question because I want to hit you with some like facts.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you have limit. Like, thank you so much, bro. First of all,
My pleasure.
You've done this. Like, you're amazing. So the first one is like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you feel like it's like you said, you want to make this last. Like, are you interested in certain businesses? Are you interested in what's your interest?
Yeah, and it's the crazy thing is because for the first time now I find myself in that situation to where I'm having to really have deep dive into these thoughts. And have you seen Creed?
Yes.
3, the third one?
Yes.
The new one?
Yes.
I just saw it and I'm like, I'm in this position right now. I'm in that position to where I'm having to now, okay, what's after? I have a daughter that I have to care for. I have a family and
okay.
Now I'm thinking what's after this, because this was never the end. This was just a vehicle to get me to somewhere else. And so now I'm, of course, investing is a big thing, is making my money work for me.
Yeah, that's number one.
Yeah.
That's number one for
Putting
sure.
it into, I guess being in the right partnership with the right group that is knowledgeable in the sense of making sure they preserve our money, because us earning our money wasn't easy. Yeah. We had to make a lot of sacrifices. We sacrificed time that we could have been hanging out with friends and family and chilling and doing all these things. We sacrificed all of that time just to perfect our craft, to be able to attain some of this wealth. We want to be able to keep it and let that work for us. So being in the right group that's going to understand that and management of that. And then, of course, now educating us in ownership of certain things and how we can own these things and have them work for us and really continue to build our wealth. So that's where I am right now. I'm trying to deep dive a lot into that. But
I got some cool stuff for you. We'll talk about after the pod as well. Because one of the things that helped us as well is that we've had key partnership and key mentors that not only, they tell you like, oh, give me your money, I'll invest it for you. Like, example, if I come up to you, I'm not gonna say, put your money with us. Yeah. I'm gonna make this money. Like, you can do that with anybody. Anybody can do that for you.
Yeah.
The most important thing is you create great business. You learn from the business. We put you in the table, in the meetings, everything. At the same time, you create great alliances as well, great support system.
Yeah.
So you know what? And then that I'm always in a good place business-wise. And then the fourth one you use is that you create an ecosystem that all your businesses align with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what's helped us as well, I think. But I'm excited. You trust me, this is exciting time. I know it's exciting time. Mm-hmm. It might look a little bit like, okay, it's exciting.
No, I am excited about it too, because I always wanted to get into that aspect.
Yes. You're gonna love it, trust me. You're competitive, so you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit you with some stuff now before we go. I want to see if you know, right? If you know this. No pressure. You're not supposed to know it.
Okay.
Okay. Is it true or false, right, that humans in general lose more than 80% of heat from their feet?
lose more than 80% of heat
From their feet.
from their feet
Yes.
daily, or just through
general.
lifetime
In general.
in general, more than 80% through their feet. I would say false.
Yes. It's false. You know, people be like, "Oh, put your feet in," and no. You don't lose that. Nothing gonna happen to you, bro. This is actually better. You to be able, like, something that is good for you, like, mentally and your body in general.
Well, I know it now because sometimes, obviously, losing weight is a big part of what I do. And so we do hot baths just to try to let the body, work to burn some of that weight off. And sometimes it's too damn hot in that bath, you can just keep your feet in there and just keep it in the bath, and that'll still continue to tell your body that you're hot. So
there you go. I like it. So okay, let me hit you with okay, let me hit you with another question. Now, this is a question, right? What's your most unusual talent?
My most unusual talent?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
I would say I had a bunch of just random knowledges of even like Greek mythology. Like, when are you ever gonna use all of that? But
You don't. It's
random,
just part of
random things that I know that most people wouldn't know. Just random.
But it's good. That's good though. You wanna think about your brain's like a library, so you just want to have like as much knowledge as you can.
Yeah.
And just throw away the usual stuff. So do you know what pterophobia is?
Say it again.
Pterophobia.
Pterophobia. Spell it.
T-U-R-O phobia, like P-H-O-B-I-A. Oh my God. English is not even my first language, and I spelled that right.
T-U-R-O-phobia. Pterophobia.
Pterophobia. I just say kind of English.
It's a fear of T-U-R-O. What is that? It's a fear of, I don't know.
Of cheese.
Cheese?
It's a fear of cheese.
Why don't they just call it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's fear of cheese.
Yeah, I did not know that. But I know it was a fear of something.
That was good. Okay, I got you. So, you dream a lot? Do you dream in general?
Do I dream?
Yes.
I think so. I think, the human actually, the human person.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying.
Dreams a lot.
Some people
but
don't.
I don't remember
a
ton. Every now and again, I'll remember one, but I don't remember a ton. I remember one time I fell in sleep in class, in physics class, and I was having a dream. I was like face on the desk, and I had a dream that a snake would like open its mouth like a king cobra, was diving at me, and I jolted so bad, almost flipped my whole desk over in class. I got caught sleeping, got sent to the principal's office, but I tried to sleep. Obviously, you're at home.
Yeah.
Kids playing video games late at night, didn't get enough sleep. I'm in school sleeping, and I got caught. But I was dreaming. That dream I definitely remember.
Okay. You know why I said it? So, listen to this fact, right? Did you know that you can't invent new faces in your dreams? Like, when you see faces in people, it's not new faces you invented. You've seen these people before.
Really?
Yeah, just randomly. You just walk around, you've seen faces, you never paid attention, and they show up in your dream.
Makes sense, because I would say a dream is obviously something that it's in your mind.
Yes.
So it's all something that your mind has captured. I guess like mental pictures and memories that your mind has captured, and just kind of
creates distorted.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it makes sense.
Yeah, when I read that, I was like, oh my God, that makes totally sense, because I was like, I see people in my dream, I'm like, who is this person?
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, I know I can't invent new faces. It's probably somebody I saw somewhere. I just didn't pay attention.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's a cool fact. Let me give you one last one, man. I don't want to. Okay, I'll give you one last one about the. Do you know how the barcodes, how they scan?
The barcodes?
Yeah, the black stripes.
How they scan?
Yeah, how they actually scan. So,
I would think there's information embedded in them.
No,
kind of like the Neo thing, like Matrix.
So, people think it's the black stripes, but it's actually not the black. It's actually the spacing between them. That they scan. Yeah, when you see click in the supermarket, it's actually the spacing between them that they scan.
So is there information in the space?
No, supposedly they can, obviously, but it's not like No, but I would assume there's something is in the black
Yeah.
stripes, but it's not the black. It's the space
The
between them.
space.
So I'm surprised when I found that.
That's crazy. I would want to know more about why is that space? What's significant about the space that it's giving information?
Guys, hit us in the comments, and let us know. We have the internet here, so fact check everything.
Smart people, yeah, definitely. Let us know,
man. First of all, thank you so much.
My pleasure
for doing this.
It's been great.
And in the end, I always leave them with like either a quote. I don't want to put you in the spot, or either something that motivates you, keeps you going every day. And hopefully, we get to do this podcast again in your future endeavors. But I want you to leave us with something, man. Yeah,
definitely. We're gonna talk and try to do something together. We've been trying to do it for years, because we've been knowing each other for a little while now. Big love from my family and my brothers, to your family and your brothers as well. We have a similar journey. It's crazy. My questions for you is I actually we saw the movie.
Yes.
Me and my daughter saw it. We loved it. Is you guys walk a similar path. You guys did this similar thing that we did. And what we're internally very, very grateful for. But to leave y'all, two quotes that I've always lived by. And I still continue to live by them to this day. And I think it's much, much more needed in this generation, that we're in right now. My first one is when you strive for perfection,
yes,
and fail or fall short, you still attain excellence. That's a big one that I live on. But one to piggyback and help that is, and this was like my go-to. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And this is one that I heard in college, and this just carried me all through and has continued to carry me through life. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And, those are the two quotes that I really live by. And
man,
I think it's very needed right now in this society.
I love it, man. There's a lot of people out there that look up to us, look up to you. And there's a lot of kids out there that aspire to be a guy like you. And they have a similar journey and even tougher.
Yeah.
And you always got to remind them that you're just human, and it's not just a sport. It's much more than just a sport. That's why we're good at what we do. It's just much more than the sport.
Oh yeah, representation is very important.
Yes.
Because once I started hitting the stride, I always looked to find information on the guys that look like me, that have blessed with the same gift that I have, that have done it before me, and what they did and how they got to the top. So representation is extremely important. And, we're human. We just do the best we can to represent.
Exactly, my brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching at home. Thank you guys for tuning in. And again, man, you can't imagine how much grateful I am for you being on here. If you guys want to watch, you want to follow Kamaru Usman on the socials, Kamaru Usman, Instagram, Twitter, I don't know. Yeah,
Instagram, Twitter,
I don't know. Do you have TikTok?
Yeah,
LinkedIn or
TikTok? I think. Well, no, TikTok. I'm kind of a little old, but Instagram and Twitter's at Usman USMAN 84 kg.
Please
and
follow him. Follow
Kamaru
his journey.
Usman on Facebook and TikTok. Kamaru Usman MMA. So yes, that's what you follow.
Please follow him. Follow his journey. And man, thank you guys so much. If you want to watch the show, you can watch it at the Antetokounbros TV on YouTube. If you want to watch the socials, you can watch it at Thanasis Antetokounmpo 43. And again, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for your support. Please like and subscribe. And I can't wait for the next one, man. Ciao. Thanalysis is recorded at No Studios, Milwaukee's creative hub and production studio.